I have gotten so many messages lately from younger people asking about virginity and asking about first time sex. And I addressed it a little bit in my mini sex ed first time sex and impotency video. So if you haven't watched that yet, please do go watch it. But I've had such an influx of messages that I just really wanted to, I guess, elaborate on it because apparently there's a real need. And I feel so strongly about this that I'm actually deviating from what I had originally planned to do my next video on, which was all of your guys' email responses to the best sex ever. There's some great stories there, and I actually have a good compromise for you guys, for all of you guys that wanting to know my best sex. I have a good compromise in there. But this is on first time sex or virginity in general. First and foremost, some of you guys write me, some 20, 30-year-olds write me that say, hey, I'm a virgin. And what I get so often, especially from you men, is you follow that up with a little parentheses and go ahead and laugh. What you guys don't get is I'm not laughing in my head. In fact, I'm giving you guys incredible, incredible respect. To have gone that far in life and not just said, screw it, I'm going to have sex the first chance I get. To have stuck to your guns and said, I'm going to wait for that special person, for that special first time, or whatever it is that your expectations are. The fact that you would wait for that, you have my respect. I'm not laughing at you guys at all. Sex is a choice, and it's an extremely heavy choice, one to be made with extreme maturity. That said, I am actually not someone who really totes wait till you're married to have sex. Now, for my Christian viewers out there, please hold on a second and listen to me here and don't jump on my case for it. When I was about 12 or 13, our church really made a big push toward the True Love Waits campaign. And these little cards you were supposed to sign as a promise to God. Some of them, oddly enough, there are some campaigns out there where you were supposed to promise your sexuality and your virginity to your father until you got married. Not like you did anything with your father, but he owned your sexuality until you got married, which to me is extremely, extremely old-fashioned and backwards thinking. There's so much I have to say about virginity that I actually hope to one day write a book on it. But, again, trying to keep this brief. So when that campaign, that True Love Waits campaign came around, amazingly, and I really don't know how at 12 or 13 I had the ability to think this way, but I remember knowing that sex, and granted at 12 I hadn't had the opportunity to have sex yet, I had the desire, so all you girls out there going like, what is wrong with me? Why in the world do I want to have sex? I'm way too young to be wanting this, right? Not necessarily. But by 12 or 13, I'd never had the opportunity to have sex. I'd never even kissed a boy. Yet when that campaign came around, I somehow knew that sex and the choice whether to wait until you're married or not was not a choice I could make at the age of 12 or 13. That was a huge choice, and I didn't take that commitment lightly. Of course, I don't take any commitment to God very lightly. I had, out of my silliness at 12 years old, made a commitment to God that I wait till I was 16 to kiss a boy, and you know what? I waited. I was 16, first time I had my first real kiss. Anyway, so I knew it was a really serious deal, and I actually refused to make that commitment to wait until I was married Not because I was like, no, I'm not going to wait. I just knew that I didn't know enough to make such a decision. And so what I decided is that all I knew is that I wasn't ready right then to have sex. And that I needed to wait. To wait for what? I wasn't sure yet. And I felt that as time went on and as I grew older and I matured, that what I was waiting for would become more clear to me. And it did. It became a lot more clear. Again, I went off to college at 16, late 16, but 16. And of course, at college, there's plenty of opportunities to be having sex. And yet I waited. And I'm telling you guys this because I really want you to know, every one of you that are young, however young that might be, and that are writing me, it's not uncool to wait to have sex. It's not silly, and it's by no means, I don't even know quite the words for it. It is ultimate in my mind, okay, and I'm not the authority on cool, but in my mind, the ultimately cool thing is to be responsible and to know what you want and to be prepared when you're going into something. So there's the guidelines that I think are pretty good guidelines to follow if you're thinking about sex. One, if you can't go into Walmart and buy condoms, if you find that too embarrassing, you're not ready. If the thought of going to your doctor and getting on birth control is horrifying and you just simply could not do that, you're not ready. I understand what you're saying. You're like, oh, but then my parents would know, my parents would freak, and blah, blah. There are many reasons to go on birth control other than for birth control. It regulates your periods, it makes them lighter, makes the cramping less, and it can reduce or prevent endometriosis. Now, there's some bad effects to it as well, but all of those positive ones could be arguable reasons. I went on birth control long before I ever had sex. For those reasons, because I wanted to have a much more predictable period and so forth. So you really can go to the doctor and be responsible. And I guess my third thing is, if you can't talk to your partner about sex, I get so many messages from you guys saying like, I have this problem, but I can't even talk to my partner about it because he or she just feels too uncomfortable discussing it, or it'd just be too weird to talk about it, or it's too soon to actually talk about something like that. If it's too soon to talk about it, it is too soon to be doing it. If you're not comfortable, if you're not mature enough to be having an open dialogue back and forth about sex, you're not ready. And I say that with respect and with understanding. Now, the incredible thing is I think that you guys, and I call you your own generation, and really I'm part of you guys. I'm 21. I mean, it hasn't been that long since I was a teenager, okay? The memories are still pretty vivid. And you guys, your generation, my generation, you know what? We are pretty smart. And in fact, we might be the smartest generation so far, the best educated so far. And in the last, I think, 5 years, the pregnancy rate has dropped by something like 30%, the teen pregnancy rate. It has dropped so much, which means you guys aren't dumb, And don't let any adults treat you like you are or pretend that you are. So those are my guidelines on first time sex, and I'll go into it a little more in part 2. So I look forward to talking to you in just a couple minutes or whenever you listen to part 2. Bye.